As a trader, you will have days where you're just so in tune with the market, you can call every move up and down and you'll capture that entire range. That was me today, except for the fact that I couldn't find an entry. So today we're going to break down a little bit of today's action, March 20th, and I'm also going to review a little bit of a bonus trade from last night in Asia. Let's just get right into it. We're going to hop over to TradingView, get onto the charts, and I will show you exactly what we were looking for. We will break down my game plan. We'll go through the whole nine. So over here on TradingView, we're going to go ahead, just clear the daily chart. So what I was primarily focused on, if you watched yesterday's trade plan, you'll know that I was preferring to look into ES. Just to put it simply, we had seen this recent range develop. If we look at like the 4 hour, for example, we can see that we are somewhat in this consolidation, but my assumption was we were starting to potentially form higher lows, and that's what we saw today. We saw this higher low form, and we were able to run for some target to the upside. Now, where this got a little bit tricky, of course, we can look at the daily chart, and we can also observe that we did, in fact, trade inside the previous day range, and you know how I feel about the prior day range. Inside days tend to stink. So with that in mind, it's not completely out of the norm that we do get a move, of course. This is great. However, the move did not really give me the entries I wanted. Now, in hindsight, of course, you can say, well, this is such an extreme move. How come you couldn't find an entry? I had one area in mind for a pullback after 10 a.m. I wanted to wait for news, being cautious, said, you know what? Let's just go ahead and wait. I was hoping for, not even hoping, I was expecting, anticipating, reasonably assuming that we would pull back a little bit lower. Why? Well, because this is something that I've seen happen many times. So for us to not give that pullback is a little problematic because, of course, yes, we did reach some levels that I had targeted. It did not align with the type of entry I wanted to take. I could maybe take this trade right here. I really did consider taking this from here to here with a stop right here. I believe that to be reasonable risk reward. However, I just opted not to. After not getting anything, and then finally seeing this, I said, let's just let it pass. What's the harm in doing that anyways? So sometimes you'll notice as a trader, you will struggle between two different paradigms, right? You can either be overly disciplined and never get a setup, or you could be overly anxious and excited and jump at every single tick that moves on the chart. The problem is when you need to find that perfect balance between execution and also having a predetermined plan. Because if you're not trading with a predetermined plan, you're going to be subject to any sort of potential fake outs and different volatility that might come into the market. I did see potentially a setup at the open. I did, once again, I saw this inversion. If you go ahead and watch the stream, we were talking about this, and we've seen that this inversion off the opens works pretty consistently all week. I talk about how you need to potentially start identifying patterns when they occur. And this is something that we've seen like 3 times now. But we looked at this pullback. I spoke on stream about why I did not like this pullback. I felt it was just a little too shallow, and it didn't look great to me. It didn't look great. I was looking for a setup that was really clear. That's what I wanted to see today. I said, you know what? FOMC was yesterday. Let's wait on clarity. And today, the opportunity cost was simply missing out on this move. However, I'm okay with that. Largely, I'm okay with that. In the past, maybe I'd be bothered and say, you know what? I just can't handle it. I would chase this move. But I do know this. When price is not giving me a clear entry, I don't find it beneficial to chase all the way up here. In this tight consolidation, these are areas where it's very hard for me to trade. Just speaking from history, I cannot get involved in a trade like this. I like to see an entry at a pullback, and then it pushes higher. I like to see some sort of strength, some sort of obvious sign that we're moving in my favor, because it allows me to trail my stop and manage it more effectively. This grinding action, though it makes sense based on the area that we are at on, the daily and the 4 hour, for instance, we were kind of grinding through. I'll go ahead and annotate it. We have this gap right here that we're kind of grinding through. So to me, it's not unreasonable that we go slow. However, I would have liked a clearer entry. That's what I felt up here to be. And it just simply didn't materialize, which is fine. You live and you learn. Not really much to learn here other than the fact that maybe I could have been a little more lenient with the trade here. Maybe I could have taken it with more size. But my approach was I wanted something very obvious given the fact that we had news at 10 a.m. We had big news yesterday, and we also had Trump speaking. So based on those things, I decided that I wanted to be extremely selective today. This was all broken down in the Discord. I actually gave out these setups for free last night for the whole Discord. If you're interested, you can check out the link in the description. You can join and you'll get some of these ideas. So what I was looking at as of last night, upside, right? We'll assess in the morning. I want to see it above 57.25. That was the main level of interest for a chance to run prior day high. We have not done that yet. And a chance at 5,800, which is essentially what I think might happen tomorrow, maybe 58.50. Counter signal, if we had swept out any of those highs, I would not be urgent to get in the trade. So that is my invalidation if we had ran and went higher and then sold off. Now we did sell off during London. However, we did not invalidate those highs by sweeping them. I would be mindful, especially if that happens, bull climbs, bear pukes. What does that mean? Steady up, puke down. So if you're getting slammed from the top ropes, as I like to say so eloquently, you got to be careful. If you're trying to get long at the top of a range, to get choke slam from the top ropes is never fun because those setups fail fast and they make you question why you even got in the trade. So I'm always mindful of that, especially when looking to break out of a range. This is a continuation of that idea. I was mentioning what did I think was reasonable for the day, right? So based on the 7 period, if you're looking at the daily ATR, average true range, you had an ATR of about 100 for ES. So in a good day, it could do it, 100 points. For the 50 period, if we're looking at just the RTH 30-minute candles for 50 periods, 30-minute candles, it's about 10 points. So a 20-point move might take 2 hours. So reasonably, what can I expect from a day trade? Maybe 50 points. That's kind of what I was getting at. Now, if we look at this move, what had actually transpired, you get about 70 points. So it's a pretty extreme move, but we did sell off, and then we got this reversal from that. So with that being said, this little bit of like a rubber band effect, boom, boom, makes sense. But the idea was from like 10 to 11, we'd get about 50 points based on those assumptions using some historical data and projecting it forward. It worked out well. So that's why I include stuff like that from time to time. It's just something else in the tool belt, something I'm aware of. This is from last night. And here's some additional charts. So you have the 4 hour. This is our main level of interest up here, the new week opening gap from 2 weeks ago, I believe. And yeah, prior day high. And we were just mindful of also this Monday high in case we wanted to potentially reject it again. This is all recorded on the stream. The live recording has been posted on YouTube. But for the bulk of this video, I want to get into Asia. What I traded last night and how I made $360 on this trade, I would like to share with you right now. Pretty simple setup. So $360, 5 contracts of minis, 5 micros, 36 points on NQ. So I was looking at this right here. Basically, every day, for me, it's about 3 p.m., right? Every day in California, you get the new day opening gap, 6 days a week, right? One of them's a weekly open, but the rest of the time, we're opening for the day. You get that little hour that's closed, and then potentially you see a gap. We had a little bit of a gap higher, and I was looking at this opening range, right? I wanted to see this opening range break, that first initial candle, because it was a bullish move. There were some levels to the left, and we'll show you on the chart right after this. And the idea was to target pretty much 1985 or something, or yeah, 985 right there. I saw how quickly it was starting to displace, and I said, you know what? Let's just partial this out. So I took a partial, and I took one partial again. I was going to hold the second one for 20,000, but I decided to be a little quicker with it. Took one again at the high a day, one again at the high a day. And then as it continued to persistently push higher, I said, you know what? That's it. That's it. The trade's done. We're approaching the end of the hour. So if you can see right here, we're approaching the end of the hour, and everybody should be aware of the fact that time-based exits will help you avoid consolidations. Let me say that again. If you're holding through an expansion candle, once that candle closes, what's likely to happen next? A wick is going to form, or an inside bar is going to form. So you play the game the way it should be played. Understand that there is phases of price delivery. So we get an expansion. Why on earth should we see an immediate expansion higher again? Know that it's going to consolidate for quite some time. And it was a couple hours before it broke the high. And it ultimately ended about there. It wasn't Asia high was not much higher than this. So that's why I put out, I tweeted out, I sold the high because it's the high. You know, you could wait maybe 30, 40 more points or whatever, but for 3 more hours of my time, and the amount of risk that I have to leave open, it's just not worth it. It's not worth it for the type of trading I'm trying to do. And if we go ahead and look at the structure of what we actually saw during Asia last night, go ahead and pull up the calendar. You had 319. Oh, 1800. That's how I do it. So there you go. This is what we're looking at. New day open. And of course, this loosely correlated with VWAP. VWAP was right about there. But this early into the session, of course, it's going to be right there. There's only a couple candles. What else is it going to do? It's going to be closely correlated. The idea was to target up here, which we were able to get some. And then we got the rest off into here, which is really nice. And the cool thing with this trade is I had my stop extremely tight the whole time. And twice, it went one tick from getting me, trailing me out. I wanted to be trailed out. Honestly, it was taking too long. I was in the trade for almost an hour. I was tired of it. So I was willing to take my minimum. I was happy with the minimum, but it just wouldn't give it to me. And it kept going higher. And eventually I said, you know what, this is it. Sold it right there. And that's maybe what you chalk up to experience. I would say so. You know, I've traded this session quite a bit this year. So I definitely have a good read on when price might be starting to look to reverse. So that I would chalk up to that. However, if you look at how we went for the rest of the session, sure, we went a little bit higher. And then definitely towards the end of the night, right? But I'm not even at the house at that point. I'm gone. I'm not. So I catch, this is what you call the opening drive. And then sure, you get a little bit more. Like you get a little bit more of a range from right here to right here. I guess I could do that. Nice. You get a little bit more, but is it worth the time that your time, effort, struggle, stress? Maybe not. Maybe you look to reposition. Million different options you could trade your own way using futures, but hope you enjoyed this little breakdown, showed you some insight as to what I did today, showed you how I made some money last night. And ultimately, if you get value out of these videos, let me know in the comments, share this with someone who needs to see how you need to be structuring your day, and subscribe. Talk to you later. We'll be back next time. Take care.